What is consciousness? And what does it mean to truly live life awake? Welcome to Clarity to Consciousness, a podcast where we transcend beyond stereotypes, embracing a deeper understanding. I'm your host, Kristen Griffiths, a fellow seeker on this path. Join me on a journey as we dive into conversations with experts, unraveling stigmas, and expanding our awareness to something profound. This is your invitation to open your mind with me as together we bring clarity to the fascinating complexities of human consciousness. Welcome back to the Clarity to Consciousness podcast, the show where we explore and clarify the vast and often mysterious terrain of human consciousness. I'm your host, Kristen Leigh Griffiths, and today we're exploring something many of us sense but don't always have language for. How our beliefs that we carry unconsciously live in the body and quietly shape how we move through life. My guest today is Jackie Cowie, whose work centers on helping people understand the unconscious beliefs and emotional imprints stored within the body and how these patterns influence our energy, our behaviors, and our sense of self. Her approach invites people to move beyond thinking alone and into listening to the intelligence of the body as a pathway to clarity and transformation. Jackie, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh, Kristen, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this one.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice to hear. So to start, what are some important things for people to know about you and your personal journey that led you to this work and the body and unconscious beliefs that we hold within our body?
Yeah. I ran my own multidisciplinary clinic for 15 years. And in the end, I was completely burned out. I was stressed. I was out the house all the time. I was emotionally all over the place, but still trying to push on. And I got to that line in the sand moment, and I just thought, is this really what I want for myself? So I completely simplified the clinic. I stripped everything back because I just needed space. I just needed space to figure out what it is that I really, really wanted to do. And I ended up in front of my first mentor, and we were talking about kind of her fees and money. And I said, it's funny, when I was working super, super hard, money wasn't an issue, but I have chosen now to be happy over money. I value my happiness and my space and my time and my energy over money. And she looked me dead in the eyes, and just went, I call BS. Why can't you be happy and have money? And it was one of those moments that just rearrange your circuitry inside, because I just thought, why can't I be happy and have money?
Mm-hmm.
It was just one of those really, really like forehead slapping moments. And I realized that was a subconscious belief that I had been carrying for a long time. And that was the very first one that I uncovered. And I thought, how many more of these do I have? And how do you find them if they're subconscious? And so that was kind of what led me onto the journey. And the more I found, the better my life became. And I realized that, you see a lot on the internet about subconscious beliefs, and you think they're just these cute little things, but they are programs that really do influence every single part of your life, from your business to your relationships to your body. And so it's been a wonderful pilgrimage into my body to find these and rewrite them and watch what happens.
Yes, that reminds me of some big unconscious beliefs that I started to become aware of too. I mean, yours makes a lot of sense. I think it's probably common that you associate hard work with earning money, and if you're not working hard, you're not going to be earning money, or if you're enjoying life, you're not going to be earning money. I can understand that one. I think for me, it was very family oriented. Uh, I remember growing up, my grandfather would say things like, well, we don't have any luck in our family. Things don't work out for us. We don't amount to much, we just didn't have a lot of success, and that reigned true. So for me, I do think it started to build this impression that I'm not going to grow up and to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. And it
So
runs deep and it has a long history, doesn't it?
it
Mhm.
does. It does. And I think it's something I'm probably still battling today, but it's definitely gotten easier and better.
Yeah.
But for those who may be new to your approach, I know you mentioned that you had started off, you said you had a multidisciplinary practice. I know you were a chiropractor at one point and you're
Yeah.
really sensitive to the body and how it works. And so, for those who are new to your approach, how do you describe this relationship between the mind and the body and then our stored experiences?
Yeah. I was a chiropractor for a long, long time, and then I became a yoga teacher as well. Then I went on to learn how to read the Akashic records. So I feel like I had the body stuff, and then the emotional stuff, and then the consciousness stuff. And like many of us, we sit with all these tools and these experiences, and we think, okay, how do we integrate all of this into something that I can offer people that can help? But I obviously spent a lot of time around the physical body. But when I started getting into the yoga philosophy, I came across something called the energy bodies. And when I first heard about them, I was learning yoga philosophy. This was something that yogis did in an ashram, centuries ago. I wasn't really looking at it as a method that could help me in my modern day life and could change things for me. But that was when I started to get into the subtle anatomy, the emotions, and the energetics behind what's going on in our body.
Mhm.
So, the energy bodies, you've got five, and it starts with the physical layer on the outside. So, that's your physical body. Then, the layer inside that is your energetic body. So, all of your energies. Inside that is your emotional body. Inside that is your wisdom body. And the last one inside is your bliss body. So when I started looking at all the different layers, I made that pilgrimage further and further into my body. And I thought, oh, wow. So we describe them as separate layers just so that we can describe them, but they interweave. And what happens in one layer affects another layer. So it's kind of like describing your cardiovascular system and your nervous system. We describe them separately, but they're very interlinked. And so that is the method that I started using to find where these limiting beliefs were, where all these subconscious beliefs were, because I started noticing, oh, my physical body just did this. Oh, my energetic body just did that. Oh, my emotional body just showed me this. And I started getting curious about the timing of it, why now? And I remember the very, very first time I ever put the pieces of information together. I was driving to work. I was still a chiropractor at that time. I was driving to work and I was listening to a podcast and I started crying. And it wasn't like an emotional thing. It wasn't anything that I, logically should have been crying about. But I remember I started crying. So as soon as I got to the clinic, I went back into the podcast and I looked for the exact sentence that made me cry. Like, what was it specifically that made me cry? And I realized the sentence. And then, of course, I had access to the Akashic records. So I sat down and I'm like, right, tell me, why did that make me cry? And it started showing me, oh, that's why it triggered that emotion in you, because this is what your body believes about that. So then, as you can imagine, I became super, super aware of everything my body did and realized that absolutely nothing is random. When you roll your eyes, when you sigh, none of it is random. It is all information. So yeah, I
Oh
could
my
go on.
gosh. Wow, that was fascinating. Do you mind sharing what the sentence was? Do you remember what the sentence was and
I
what the
can't remember
actual
exactly what the sentence was, but it was about money. It
Oh,
yeah, the money piece for me, as you know, lots of these things are multi-layered, so the money
mhm.
piece for me came round and round and round again. But yeah, that's what that was about.
Oh my gosh. This is really fascinating to me. I have delved into a lot of spiritual topics before, and people talked about the energy bodies. It was kind of one of those phrases that I just kind of let pass me by. I never really asked. So that's fascinating, and I didn't know what it was. So to have you explain those 5 layers, just fascinating. So would you say, maybe in a different way to say it that more people may be more familiar with, would you say that that sentence triggered you and you needed to take a moment to feel into what caused that
Yeah.
trigger and what beliefs you held around the trigger? Is that
Yeah, yeah,
fair?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So your emotional body, so your physical body will show you in sensations. So if you think about you're sitting on the sofa, for example, it's a weekend and you're really stressed at work, you notice a notification on your phone and it's an email and you notice it's from work and you go and you get that little tension. That is information. Or so that is your physical body. Anything that happens in your physical body, any sensations, or your energetic body is to do with your energy. And the easiest way for you to notice that is usually your breath. So if somebody says to you, please, can you make me a cup of tea? And you go, oh, that is
Mm,
your energetic body saying to you, you do not have either the resources, the energy, or the time to do that right now. So my energetic body became my superpower when it came to knowing when to say yes and when to say no. Because one of my survival loops was being a people pleaser. And when you've done that your whole life, it's actually very difficult for you to know what is yours to do and what isn't. It's quite difficult for you to discern where that boundary is. So I started using my body. When my body said yes, I would do it. And when my body said no, I started with small things that didn't matter. And then eventually, when I trusted it, I trusted, like, my body is saying this is a no for me. So I'm going to politely decline that, I don't know, that dinner with friends or something today. So my energetic body became very helpful when I started discerning. I call it a holy yes and a holy no. And then, yeah, and then your emotional body is just an absolute gold mine of information. There is no emotion that can't tell you something. So even if you feel a little bit of jealousy, you wouldn't feel that jealousy unless that thing was available to you. So you could put, I don't even know if this exists, but you could put a 20-foot yacht in front of me and give me the keys. Or you could say, like, look at my new yacht. There is no part of me that would feel jealous. I would just be happy for you. If you want a yacht, that's great.
hmm
Because a yacht doesn't belong to me. It's not something that I am here for. So the moment you feel jealousy, you know that it is available for you. So again, if you are, for example, say you're scrolling on Instagram and you see this woman and she's in a really, really soft dressing gown and she's sipping her coffee and she's telling you that she just woke up to, I don't know, £1,000,000 and you get jealous. So before I would like just get irritated and I would scroll past. Now I stop and I go, right, what specifically about that made me jealous? Was it that she woke up to money? Was it that she looks so freaking comfortable in that dressing gown? Was it that she is home having a slow coffee in the morning? Get really specific about what it is that triggered that jealousy, because okay, my body wants a slow morning with coffee in a dressing gown, or I actually do want more money and I haven't admitted it to myself yet. So whatever
Yeah.
it is. So I allow myself to feel the emotion fully, and then I turn around and I get curious and go, right, why did I feel that? What's there for me?
So good. I just love this so much. The longest time you could look at things like jealousy and just look at them as rotten feelings and react to them and, like, I don't know, take vengeance or something like a child would. But I love this idea of using our emotions as tools to figure out what our soul wants and needs, you know?
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
love that. If you had to pick like one of the most important emotions as a signal, would you say it's jealousy or would you say there's other ones?
I have two. I mean, how can you say you have two favorite emotions? But I have two favorite emotions that give people a lot of information. The first one is judgment. The moment you are judging somebody else,
Hmm.
it's a pretty clear sign that there's something that you're not acknowledging in yourself. There's something that you want and you aren't allowing yourself to have it. So I'm going to be straight up honest. I used to judge lazy people. How
Mm.
dare they just lounge on the sofa? Like, I definitely am a better person. I definitely have a better work ethic. Like, I just don't get how they can be so lazy. That used to be how I thought until I started using my emotions in this way. And I would stop myself and go, okay, why do you feel that level of judgment to lazy people? And it was because there was a part of me that desperately wanted to sit on the sofa and be lazy, and I wouldn't let her. I was working too hard. So when you start to use it like that, so judgment's a good one. The other good one, resentment. Resentment.
Resentment.
The moment you feel resentment is the moment you know you have given yourself away.
Mm.
So like I said, I used to be a people pleaser. So I unpicked this one significantly as well. So if I offered to come and wash your car, for example, if I resented it, that means that I have given myself away, I've given too much, and I've done
Mm.
it from some kind of survival loop. But if I offer to come and wash your car and it makes me really excited because this is a fun thing to do and the sun is shining, then that is a holy yes. So I started to use my resentment as well to figure out where that healthy boundary was. Because again, your emotional body does not trigger an emotion in you because the other person is naughty or because the other person needs to do better or because the other person did something bad. It triggers an emotion in you to tap you on the shoulder to go, hey, there's something for you here.
So
It's
good.
good, right?
So good. I
Yeah.
mean, yes. Wow.
Yeah.
I think it's like such a paradigm shift to looking into the way we live and how we work. I mean, and
Yeah.
even just the comment that you made before about the sigh, you didn't even have to think about it. You just sigh because somebody asked you to do something. I mean,
Yeah.
I agree. Now, I will say I'm a mom. Are you a mom?
No. No.
No. Okay. So I'm a mom and single mom at that. So there's a lot of times where my son will ask me for something and I'm like, "Ugh," but you feel like there's no one else to help. So maybe he's getting to the point where he can start to do these things for himself and that's the answer. But I'm just curious when you have that holy no, where whether it's like an audible sigh or even an emotional reaction, but you feel like you can't like you have to. What do you do in those situations?
Well, the kind of loop behind that is you feel guilty if you don't.
Mm.
Um, you just feel so bad about letting someone down. You feel, like you're not a good person if you don't volunteer to do it. When you're a single mom and you're tired and there's no one else to rely on, then you also tend to do things that drain your energy. So sometimes there is no one else that can help you and step in and go, no, you sit down, I'll get it this time. But oftentimes this one is very related to speaking up, also learning how to use your voice. So there'll often be it'll just be quicker if I do it myself than
Yeah.
actually saying to him, I don't know how old your son is, but if he is old enough to do some
Mhm.
of this stuff, sometimes you'll go, oh, it's just easier if I do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
where the invitation might be, can I explain to him how to do it or ask him to do it? And he might mess it up a few times and he might not do it the way you would do it. But in the long run, is that easier than the short-term fix of just going, okay, I'll do it. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know your situation, but if I was talking adult to adult, that would
Mm-hmm.
often be the loop behind it.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So speaking up, yeah, I can see where that can have some history in my life of being true, being afraid to speak up, not speaking up for sure. I think I've talked about it before. Yeah.
It's so, so hard. I mean, the first time, so the opposite side of that same coin is if you offered to make me a cup of tea before I rewrote this entire loop, if you had offered to make me a cup of tea, I would have gone, no, no, it's okay. I can do it. And I would have jumped up and I would have tried to help you. So the opposite, but it's the same loop. The opposite side of it was when you said, can I make you a cup of tea? For me to sit still, like I used to actually have to sit on my hands and sit still. And I used to go, thank you. And those words just felt really bad in my mouth to actually let somebody help you. So yeah, there's a big thing that goes on around your throat and actually getting these words out your mouth.
That reminds me of something, and I'm curious of your thoughts on this. Now, you're in the UK, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the US, especially in the Northeast where I live, there is this go, go, go mentality. Hurry up, move faster, get out of my way. I really hate it. I try not to live that way, but work hard, don't rest. I mean, and that's probably an American thing in general, but I think society also puts that pressure on us too. What do you think the societal pressures are versus the instilled beliefs that we carry and how it relates to all of this?
Yeah, I think most of society is just running on survival loops. Most of society is just, redlining their nervous system, reacting to things that are in front of them. Everything seems like it's urgent and seems like a rush, and there's too much to do and not enough time. And these can also be signs of survival loops. And when you start to detox from that particular one, so that is the one that's going to lead you to stress and anxiety and exhaustion. So when you start to detox from that particular one and you start to slow down, feels really boring. It feels really settling in the first
Mhm.
instance because you're sitting there and you're so used to going 100 miles an hour and you're sitting there thinking, there must be something, I'm missing something, I'm forgetting to, and it takes a while for your body to detox from all of those stress hormones. And then you sit there and you're like, this is really boring. It's not actually boring. It's just that you've been driving 100 miles an hour with kids screaming in the back, the radio blaring, someone trying to call you at the same time with, gale force winds and rain. And now you are driving in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. So
Yeah.
it just feels completely different. But I think most of society is running on survival loops. And that's why, those of us that are going ahead to rewrite them, to show people, hey, we don't have to live like that anymore. We don't have to work like that anymore. We don't have to be in service like that anymore. And the world keeps turning, and actually we're a whole lot happier. Yeah, it's a pandemic.
Yeah. This is so good. I am so glad we're having this conversation. For the listeners, now I generally think the people listening to this podcast, they're people who are opening up to some of these concepts and ideas. So I'm guessing that some of them are beginners.
Mm,
So for someone just starting to explore this, how can they or we begin building awareness of what our body might be holding?
yeah. So I would start with the physical, the energetic, and the emotional. So when I started learning how my body was communicating with me, I literally used to do really, really small things. So I used to stand in front of, say I potentially had 2 dinners I could cook tonight. I would stand in front of one and I would just get grounded and centered and think, do I really want this tonight? And it's amazing. Your body will go, yeah, I do want to eat this, or no, I do not want to eat that. So I used to do it a lot with food to practice because that has no emotional charge. It has no massive consequence if you don't get it right, in inverted commas. I used to do it in front of clothes. I used to put 2 outfits out and I used to stand in front of the one and stand in front of the other and just try and feel the difference in how my body feels. So that's what I did right in the beginning. And then just start to get curious. Tears are a really, really good one. Just start to get curious. Even if you don't have like a full on sobbing cry, when your eyes just well up and get a little bit wet, notice when that happens and start to think, okay, what did that person just say? Why did that happen? Because most people are just so busy and have so much on their plates that they don't really pick up on these little nuances. But once you start to dial your awareness into it, it just becomes a little bit more obvious. So those are the easiest places to start.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Really, really helpful. Do you do this as a practice daily, or do you set aside some time to do bodily check-ins, or is it really just kind of as you're going about your day when you feel those triggers, becoming more aware of them?
Yeah. In the beginning, I used to do little things like body scans. I used to sit down and go, okay, where do I feel the tension in my body? Always my jaw. Always my jaw. Low back is going to be another big one for people. So I used to do a body scan, but now I call it the energy body method. Obviously, I didn't come up with the method. This is from the Vedic texts. I mean, that's how old this is. But it was when I started to apply it in my daily life, that's when it had the biggest effect. So I call it the energy body method, but really it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. And you'll notice it in yourself, but you'll also notice it in your children. You'll start to notice their body and their energy and their emotions. And then being a mom, you can start to think, okay, well, I'm not going to question them about it, but I'm starting to get a sense of what's really going on a little bit deeper for them. So you'll start to notice it in other people as well.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question around what happens when you resist what your body's telling you over years and years and years. I've heard this phrase, dis-ease creates disease. So, and dis-ease in the body creates disease.
Mm.
Can you talk a little bit about what you found as it relates to these energies? Is it only belief systems, or do you think it creates issues with our health as well?
Yeah, I do. It shows up in the body for sure. And where it shows in the body is no mistake either.
Mm.
That is how your body tries to communicate what's going on. So if you have any issues around security, like you're not sure about the future, you're not certain, that's going to show up in your low body and your legs. And
Mm.
shoulders, for example, are usually around responsibility, like you're
The weight.
feeling things are very serious, there's not enough joy. Neck pain. Your neck is between 2 massive decision centers. So the decision center of your heart and the decision center of your mind.
Mm.
So often when those 2 decision centers are at odds, that conflict will show up on the bridge, which is your neck. Um, there's all sorts of places that your body will show you that there's something going on subconsciously. When people get headaches, they're often putting too much pressure on themselves. Stomach issues, just on a really surface level, is what can you no longer stomach. So
Mm.
see if you can take the body part and figure out its function. So your low back, for example, is to carry the load above, your body weight load. And then turn it into a question. What is the load that I'm feeling that is too heavy? Or your feet, for example. Your feet also carry you forward. What am I uncertain about? What am I nervous about my next steps? Or where am I feeling like I'm being forced down a path that I don't really want to go down, So start to think about the function of the body parts. The side of the body is also important. So your right side is more to do with masculine qualities. And for those listeners that are more scientific, more medical, I struggled with this for a long time. So yes, I am fully into magic and miracles, but I did start with a biomechanical background. And it just I know this stuff and I understand this stuff, but I also need a little bit of evidence for it. I need to kind of have some reference for my brain to grab onto. So when people used to say, "Oh, the right side of your body is related to masculine energy," I would be like, "How? Where did you get that from? Like, where did you get that from?" But if you think the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body, so the left side of your brain is related to analytical thinking and logical thinking. And so that becomes the right side of your body, which is your masculine qualities of motivation and drive and forward movement and direction. And then the left side of your body is more to do with your feminine qualities. We know that the right side of your brain is more related to intuition and creativity and collaboration. And so the left side of your body is going to be those qualities of nurturing and more your feminine flow qualities.
So interesting. Yeah, I can't remember which side of the body it was, but a friend of mine was having he always had issues on the same side of his body, and especially he was having an issue with his jaw on that side. And I don't remember
Mm,
if it was left or right, but that's so
mm,
interesting. And you said you
yeah.
had issues with your jaw. What do you think the jaw represents?
The jaw is usually some kind of tension, some kind of survival. And it can be related to, we were talking about speaking before. It can be related to that because it's in that area. The jaw is quite complicated because it also mirrors your pelvic bowl. So
Hmm.
the two areas, your pelvic floor and your jaw, are anatomically and energetically very connected. So sometimes it'll show up in the jaw, but actually it's more a survival pattern linked into kind of stress and fear and anxiety, scarcity, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So interesting. Wow.
Mm.
Thank you so much. So this has been fascinating. I feel like we just scratched the surface.
Yeah, for
But I
sure.
know I know that you're giving us a gift, which is the Energy Body for Prosperity Masterclass link, which we're gonna put
Yeah.
below. Do you wanna talk a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so I go a little bit more in depth into each energy body for you so that you can really start to use this and integrate it into your daily life because, people don't have time to go on retreats all the time and they don't necessarily want to go and, spend a lot of money on these big fancy things. So I want it to be things that you can integrate into your life, into the mundane moments, into those moments that happen every single day, so that it just becomes part of how you live and not something that's separate. I'm human when I'm doing this Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday I become divine and I meditate and I do all these amazing things. We are human and divine all the time. And so the energy body method will help you to integrate it into your everyday life.
Well,
Mhm.
we talked a little bit about how to be aware of it. And you are somebody who's been working on this a while and now you are experiencing the benefits from it. So in your
Yeah.
experience, what becomes possible when someone starts living from the wisdom of their body instead of the narratives in their mind and just kind of operating on default?
Yeah. Well, I originally set out to just be happy and have money and just to bring it full circle. But I ended up rewriting four specific survival patterns. I had PTSD, so I was, that end of the stress and anxiety spectrum. I ended up burning out till my hair fell out. Had a successful clinic. I had loads of experience and still struggled with that crippling doubt of never believing that you're actually good enough, no matter what people tell you. And so I ended up rewriting all of those, thinking that I was just going to have this happy life with money and I was going to serve my dream clients and live happily ever after. But what actually happened was I emptied my body of everything that was never mine, and it gave me the space to let more consciousness in. So what actually happened was the descent of consciousness into my body. So it lets me move through the world from a completely different place. It lets me see things differently. It lets my body hold more light, hold more divinity, hold more love, which I believe that those of us who are here now are here to do in a very tricky time. I don't know when this podcast is going to go out, but it's a particularly dark time in our history right now. But those of us who are doing this work have created a body that can carry more love and light than was ever possible before, so that others can be stabilized by us, others can find hope by us, others can calibrate to us, and like a rising tide, it raises all ships. So that is really what happened. I opened my body up to, again, I used to be a biomechanical background, but it opened my body up to different superpowers I never knew I had, different dimensions I never knew I could access it, remembering ancient technologies. And so, I got back way more than I bargained for.
Yeah, so amazing. Well, you found me at the perfect time. I'm actually working very hard on myself right now to remember our true identities that we were born with. If you think back to, and this is for the audience, when we think back to when we were born and we were children, before we had all of these programs and unconscious beliefs put on us, we were so pure. And I'm trying to go back to remember who we were back then. So it's not finding someone new. It's remembering who we were. And this speaks so beautifully to that work that I'm on a journey to do too, because I really want to get back to her, who that was, and it's possible for everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful that you came in and shared some of these things today.
Wow. It's just, that's exactly how I see it. You were born as that pure, innocent, holy essence. You just can't feel it under all of those layers, but it is in there, and you were already trusted with the mission. You were born with all the energies that you need. And I'm just gonna throw this out there, because you will get to a point where you meet her. And I remember this so clearly. I had finished working with my mentor for a long, long time, and I was cleaning the kitchen floor. And this is what I mean. You don't have to, go and do plant medicine at some fancy resort. These things happened to me while cleaning my kitchen floor. And I remember just breaking down in floods of tears in reverence for all the versions that had gone before, that had kept crawling through the mud, kept falling over, coming up with a face full of dirt and trying. And I know people who are on this journey will know that's what it's like, blood, sweat, and tears sometimes. And I was crying on the kitchen floor in reverence for that woman who kept going to get to this point, because when you meet her, it is just so peaceful. All of the urges to fix and rush and prove and chase, and they all just dissolve. And you are just in this bubble of peace and quiet. And if I'm honest, I didn't stay there. I came out. I wasn't able to stabilize her the first time. I came out, and then I made my way back there. But if you can get back there and stabilize that and move through the world from there, there is no limit to what we can create. No limit.
Oh, so good. It's so good. Jackie, this has been such a great conversation. I'm going to wrap up our interview today with a few questions I ask all my guests. The first is reflecting on our talk and what we discuss, what's one thing you hope people remember about these unconscious beliefs and the wisdom that we hold within our body?
Yeah. Your body is trying to show you where they are because your body wants you to be prosperous. Your birthright is to be prosperous. So the moment you make that switch from my body's weak, my body's vulnerable, I'm at war with my body to, okay, body, what you got? Where we going? And if you can just get a little bit curious, exactly like you said, that pure, holy, innocent part of you is already there. Some people, when they start this journey, there's a little bit of a fear of like, what am I going to find inside? That's all you're going to find inside is your divinity. That's all that's in there. So keep going because that is what your body wants for you. It wants you to be prosperous. It wants you to be rich in money, yes, but not at the cost of anything else. It also wants you to be rich in happiness and fulfillment and aliveness and energy and time and bliss. So anytime it gives you information, know that that is the destination that it's trying to get you to.
So beautiful. And for someone just beginning to explore spirituality or consciousness, what advice would you give them?
Oh, well, you're probably not going to like this, but I will give it some context. Some kind of meditation, some kind of stillness. Now, I had been meditating on and off for years, but never really got into the routine, never really got into the habit until two things happened to me. I remember sitting when I had simplified my life. I thought, right, now I'm going to get into my meditation routine. And I sat the first day and I said, okay, I just want to have a calm day today. And every person that I saw that day reflected, Jackie, you're so calm. Jackie, I love coming here. You're so calm. Now, people use lots of words about me, but calm is not generally one of them. So that stuck in my mind. And then the next day, I said, okay, I just want this to be a safe space for everyone who comes in here today. And that day, people told me, even though I'd been seeing them for years at this point, they told me really deep, dark things that they suddenly felt safe enough to tell me. And I remember going home going, oh, I meditated on that in the morning and then that's what happened in the day. So that's when I was like, oh, this is not just a performative thing. This actually works. And so if you can get yourself into some kind of meditation, and if you can do it in the morning, it's better. And I'll tell you why. As humans, we are programmed by default to connect into the collective soup of consciousness, unless you consciously connect into your own stream of energy first. So if you are like you are on the path of trying to discover this stuff, you don't want to be dealing with the collective stuff first. So get into your own energy stream. So it doesn't have to be complicated or fancy, just literally 3 minutes, 5 minutes, just consciously getting into your own energy stream for the day is how I would start.
Yeah, great. That's a great tip. Yeah, I've often think about you don't realize that you can be intentional about your day. You can be intentional and the intention that you put in will be
Yeah.
reflected back to you. I love that so much and it's such a great reminder. People don't believe it exists, but you just spoke truth into it there. Thank
Yeah.
you. And lastly, my final question is from your point of view, what does it mean to live life consciously?
Yeah. This is two different systems. So when you are living in your survival loops, you feel good, you feel neutral, and then something will trigger you. And then your brain will instantly go into that nervous system response, and all it's looking for is some kind of safety. Eventually, you find it. Sometimes it's days, weeks, months, years. Eventually, you find the safety, and then you go back to neutral. So I see it like a triangle. You're just bobbing around that triangle all the time. Whereas when you can get out of those survival loops, you go into your creator energy. And then you can start to create your life by design. You can start to decide what you want to experience next. So it takes you out of that reaction mode into, like you say, living intentionally, living with with purpose and being of service, but it's from a completely different place. It doesn't deplete you in any way. It just gives to you more and more, more.
I love it. Thank you so much for that advice. I think a lot of people are going to want to work with you. I know that you have some offerings and you're a podcast host yourself
Yes.
and you're offering becoming it's a roundtable.
Yeah.
So I know that's more women focused, but do you want to talk about the other work that you're doing so people can find you?
Yeah. So the Becoming is a round table, and I've been in spaces, or I've seen spaces as well, where the offering is so big that you actually don't even get to really speak to the mentor. So this is a small, intimate group because I want us to really be elbows deep in what you're offering, what your vision is, where you feel like you're currently at a sticky point, so that we can help you move your mission forward as fast as possible. So I've got that going on. And then private mentorship, you can obviously reach out for that. And then my podcast, yeah, I absolutely love teaching. As much as I love healing, I love teaching. There's just
Mhm.
so much information that wasn't available to us before. So now that it is, let's get it out there and let's help people.
Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate this conversation so much. And you go into this depth and compassion, and it's so wonderful that you bring that and help people understand themselves through the intelligence of the body that they carry. So thank you so much. I hope a lot of people reach out to you. I know I'm now a huge fan of yours too.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for providing this platform so that people have somewhere to share their work and get their medicine into the right hands, so that we can help as many people as possible.
Oh, thank you so much. It feels good to do it. It's definitely my
Good.
purpose.
Yes.
And to all of you listening, if today's episode resonated with you, I really encourage you to explore more of Jackie's work. I'm going to link all of her information down below so you can learn more about her approach to embodiment and the beliefs that we carry. And thank you all for listening and being here. I would so appreciate some engagement from you. Please reach out. Please share a review or send this episode to somebody you think that would benefit from hearing it. Once again, I'm Kristen Leigh Griffiths, and until next time, stay curious, live consciously, and keep seeking clarity. Much love. Bye for now.